Hello, welcome to what is sort of a tardy and not planned episode of George Ryan Video Games.
But what else is new?
Yes. Normally, George Ryan Video Games is a monthly video games podcast where we talk about the game releases and the game news that mattered to us of the month prior when we're looking forward to next month. But the episode for July sounded like garbage.
It did.
So at least Brian trusted my word that it didn't sound great.
You're not a lying. I trust you.
Oh well, thank you.
I've
Ryan.
known you for years, and I feel like you've.
God, how long has it been?
I think I met you when I met you when I was a sophomore.
Thinking about. I thought about this. Was like, man, life is weird. Like we met in. You were a sophomore, right?
I was a sophomore. Yeah.
Right.
That was in computer programming, right?
Yes, it was computer
That's
programming.
That's the nerdiest
right.
class we could possibly have.
We played Halo. Man, that sucks.
Oh, man.
This is a terrible origin story.
We became best friends, played Halo 1 in computer programming class in high school.
Oh, man. Anyways, yes, so this is sort of our makeup episode. We decided that the fall is upon us, and that's usually it used to be the biggest sort of period for game releases, but now things are fluctuating more that it's either the fall. I honestly think like the beginning is now heavier than the fall.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with first party releases, because it seems like third parties is heavy in the fall, and first party they're trying to experiment more with laying stuff out. So with that, we decided to go through I think I missed a month, but every significant game that we talked about on this podcast up to this point, talk about them and where we stand. There's obviously some of our favorites here. I think my number one of the year is probably on here, so I'm trying and save some for end of the year discussions. We're going to talk about some of the highlights of the year so far. Maybe make a comment or two about games that we played. Maybe something changed, or I don't know, our thoughts on it evolved. But yeah, I have every game here.
Okay. Let's start off with the first one.
Let's start off with,
as we normally would.
Not a game I wished. I think even at the time when we talked about it, it was a game I wish I liked a lot better. A normal lost phone. Quick recap: this is the sort of mobile game where you have a phone, like you found someone's lost phone, and you're going through the messages and the calendar events. You're learning about this person's life through their phone. And yeah, I don't think my thoughts on it changed much. They're making a sequel to that game.
Really?
They're making another Lost Phone.
That's not a very good title, is it?
I mean, it's like Emily's Away 2, Tooo. Did you ever play Emily's Away?
No, I always meant to.
It's a free game.
I hear it's more a visual novel, right?
Oh yeah, it's mostly in chat box. So yes, it's more of a Twine game kind of. It's not a Twine game.
Games like that, like the length usually puts me off. I don't know.
It's like 30-45 minutes. I would recommend. I'm not the biggest fan of that game, but I think it's a neat thing to see. But yeah, normal Lost Phone. I think if I remember correctly, the thing that hung me up about it was that the pacing was a little bit slow, and it did feel really intrusive. I don't know. Should I just spoil it now? Because I didn't spoil in that first episode what the game. Do you mind it?
I don't care.
Okay, so you find out that if I'm remembering 100%, I'm so sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure what happens at the end of the game. It's been so long, but what happens is you found this phone. This person got rid of this phone because they decided that they were going to start a new life as a queer person. And so they got rid of their phone and were going to run away with a partner. And that's why you found the phone. And that's why people like their mom and dad are like, where are you? What's going on? And that was the big reveal. And so I remember mentioning like Gone Home in our original discussions. And that's why I mentioned it. Because I was like, I guess spoilers for Gone Home as well. That is a game where your sister goes through this sexual awakening. And this game has that, but it doesn't land as hard as Gone Home does.
I think with Gone Home, it's mostly just like... Gone Home was really good in how like you kind of like realized it as she was.
Yes, exactly.
Is, like, super awesome.
Yep.
And like it kind of builds up. I was like, is this
and
where
this?
if it gets going? But I feel like with a game like that where it's all just text boxes.
It's text boxes. There's not that Chris Remo soundtrack that has that. There's not that wonderful narration. Yeah. And it was also weird because it was music. You're intruding onto the phone of a queer person. It was like, this is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. I actually got a text like that recently. I'll tell you this off camera.
Okay.
I got a weird text from a wrong number that they sent me like hello, and then they sent me like photos of like their chat windows with another person, and it got real serious and real dark.
Okay.
And then they realized, like, a B-Lad was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, wrong number now." I was just like, "Okay, it's fine." Okay, yeah.
All right, moving on from that game. Spheroids was another game I briefly talked about. It was this neat platformer that was inspired by Buster Bros. And a little bit of Wario Land. Wario Land's the original on Virtual Boy, correct?
On Virtual?
Yeah.
No.
What's the one on Virtual? I'm pretty sure it's Wario Land, isn't it?
Because
there's multiple Wario Lands.
Oh, Wario Land. Yeah, there was a Wario
Nothing about
Land.
Wario World for GameCube.
There was a Wario Land on Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
I think Wario Land began on the Game Boy. Because Super Mario Land 3 was called Wario Land. Because Super Mario Land 2 was the game that featured Wario first as the antagonist.
And this game specifically in the fact that you're switching from a front platform to a platform in the background. And yeah, I don't have much to say about that. It was a very small and fun game. I really liked it as a podcast game on my Vita. Didn't have to think too much and it felt good. But yeah, that's Spheroids. There's not much to say about that one. A really smaller one. Resident Evil 7.
That's the first big game of the year.
Let me tell you, Resident Evil 7 feels so long ago because it was early in the month.
Yeah.
Because these are January games we're talking about here.
I was especially excited for this because I got this at the same time I won a free PS4 and a VR helmet. So I am
following your path and I'm trying to.
And you're trying to win some.
So Totino's. Actually, if I give this out now, I don't know. We don't have the biggest listenership. I know someone listens to it, like maybe 3 people or something. But anyways, Totino's had this Mass Effect Andromeda Xbox One S giveaway, right?
Yeah.
And the contest ends at the end of the year, so you can enter daily. And I was like, no one cares about Mass Effect Andromeda. People already forgot. I think my chances are pretty good, and so I've been. Not daily, but pretty regularly entering a ballot.
Re-entering the Tostitos. I know there was a Tostitos contest where it was like win a free Xbox One S and a year's supply of Tostitos pizza rolls, and I was like, hell yeah, give me them pizza rolls, baby.
I wonder if you get to choose what type of flavor.
I would prefer to get the cash value instead of the pizza rolls.
Okay, I guess that's true. But
yeah,
Resident Evil 7.
I was excited for this because VR. I've never had that really before, and man. I did not like the VR in that game.
You did. It made you sick, huh?
It made me pretty sick, and it looked butt ugly.
Yeah.
And then also, actually, I recently sold Resident Evil 7, and I never finished it, because, I don't know. I kept looking at it. The beginning of it's very solid, but then I felt like it reached a point where I didn't see it going anywhere particularly interesting to me. I felt like it would just be more of the whole hillbilly craziness.
That's fair.
Look at what's going on over here.
That's really fair. I think the beginning of that game is also the strongest point of that game. And I still really, really enjoy it. I think it's the best Resident Evil game since 4. But yeah, I agree that opening, man, I really loved I didn't like the opening, but it was like after there's the opening segment where you get introduced to before the second title screen or after the boss fight with Mia with the chainsaw up in the attic in that game. Then the real game starts. And I liked everything after that. That felt very Resident Evil, where I was just walking around this place, retracing my steps. Yeah, I still like Resident Evil 7 a lot. There was I don't think there's a spoiler for the game, but at the end of the game, once the connection to the other Resident Evil games is made, they tease that there's a free story DLC that's coming out in the summer.
I think they talked about they were still working on that, right?
Yes. And I'm still waiting on that, and I'm interested to see how they do that. Can I just spoil it now?
Go for it.
Okay, so spoilers for Resident Evil 7. These are actually pretty. I know this is a big game, and if anyone listens to my spoilers, so 1 minute. Chris Redfield shows up at the end of the game in a helicopter. He's like, "We're gonna get the fuck out of here, but this house was horrible." And so
someone told me that.
Yeah, and so Chris Redfield shows up, and then you make it out, and that's really it. And I think he mentions the rest of other people. I think he mentions Jill at some point.
Is there a reason he shows up?
It's been a long time, but I think they might have gotten they knew that there was a bioorganic weapon there, like fucking traditional Resident Evil nonsense. We got fucking terrorism and corporations extorting capitalism to the nth degree, and all that stuff.
Easy, simple stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, Resident Evil 7 for me it still holds up, and I think about it more fondly now than I was at the time. But yeah, I don't know. Job Simulator, Ryan.
Job
Speaking
Simulator.
of VR.
This is the one VR game I've actually liked so far. Which says, I don't know if that says a lot or nothing.
Or says something about you? I don't know.
I don't know. It's just because, like, Job Simulator is a very simple game. And the art style really lends itself well to that.
And the sense of humor is really good as well.
Sense of humor is very good.
It's also very you, I think.
It's very me, yeah. And, like, it's a good, like, gateway to, like, get into that world because it's simple and you're, like, kind of stuck in, like, this one area that lets you just, like, explore in, like, a simple way that's not, like, overly complicated. Where if you're just jumping into, like, Resident Evil 7 or something like that, it's a little bit more than you're
used to. And also, like, with Resident Evil 7, you have to know the language of modern games, sort of.
Yeah.
And with, like, Job Simulator is this game that... My problem with VR is when they don't let you do a thing.
Yeah.
Only because... And, like, if I turn on a faucet, water should come out of it.
Yeah.
Or I should interact with it. Otherwise, don't put it there. And Job Simulator does a great job of responding to your interaction with the dumb thing. Like, you put a donut or whatever in the copier and something...
it copies a donut,
yeah. Yeah.
Or like how the keyboard is just a 1 and a 0 because they're robots and you just type randomly type on there. It's smart and funny humor.
And that wasn't a 2017 release, but you got your VR this year.
Yeah, so I feel like that was if you want to get into VR, I think that's a very easy good place to start.
VR, it's been a thing. It's been a few months since you got in that, and there hasn't been anything significant.
No, I've been trying to play it more, but like I don't know. Like it's cool. Like it's definitely a cool like thing, but it still like doesn't feel like it's gone anywhere like meaningful.
Yeah.
Ever since like Sony first put it out there. I know they were really like trying to make Farpoint the next big thing, and I heard like some people say it was, but I feel like that kind of died out.
It's certainly functional from what I saw about Farpoint.
Functional.
You should play Rez, man.
Rez. That's the what game's that again?
Rez is the Dreamcast Sega game that they got.
Oh, I played the demo of that. I didn't like it.
Ah, Ryan, you're breaking my heart.
I'm sorry.
It's like one of the best games ever. It's so
Jesus.
Good. It's so good.
I don't know. Maybe it was just the demo because that was on the demo disc they sent me, and I feel like the demo level they had was not very like good. Thumper was very good. That demo.
Thumper, yeah. It was also true. We never tried it out. I doubt there's that much of an increase, but it's such a pain in the ass to haul VR because we never tried out what it looks like on a Pro because it is very fuzzy.
It is very fuzzy.
So I wonder how much...
I need to try that someday, but yeah, I got a new TV stand recently and I had to like disconnect everything and I fucking hated it. It was so annoying. There's so many cords and it's so annoying. Anyways.
Moving on. Speaking to so many things.
Fucking stupid.
It's kind of stupid.
It's pretty stupid looking back on it. Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah, you like the anime characters? You want to put coins in, or
I like the anime characters part.
Or orbs? They're orbs.
They're orbs. Yeah.
Right. So Fire Emblem Heroes was the free-to-play Fire Emblem game, the gacha sort of light strategy game. It kind of resembled Fire Emblem, and I remember coming out. I think when it came out, we were like, at least it looks like a Fire Emblem.
It looks like Fire Emblem, and it's pretty. Like when we first started playing it, I really enjoyed it because I'm a Fire Emblem fan, especially the new stuff, just because it's more like silly and fun, and less of like the grind, terrible permadeath, not fun stuff. And Fire Emblem Heroes just seemed like that. And like when I kept playing it, it just felt like more like annoying, you know?
Yeah.
Because like the special events they didn't lead anywhere. The levels, maps, they didn't like do anything for me like emotionally, especially like the story stuff. It would like tell you like, oh, we have to go here because this thing's happening, and then like people would talk and like that this conversation is meaningless because it's just an excuse for us to fight, and it like I don't know, it just went nowhere.
Yeah.
And updates since then haven't done anything to the game that made it meaningful. I mean, I still have it on my phone, so I don't know what I guess I do too means. Huh But yeah, Fire Emblem Heroes pretty disappointing overall. I mean, I've heard some people really like it. Oh yeah, I know a lot of like the gacha Fire Emblem fans who are still playing it today and like love it, and like good for you, I guess. But I don't know. In terms of like what Nintendo's done with smartphones, I feel like
it's probably the best one. You think?
It's probably I know it's done the best for them financially,
right?
Because I know people did not like Super Mario Run. That's a game we both played this year.
That's true, and I have nothing to say about it.
That's true. That's true, because that came out for us Android boys this year in March. But yeah, I feel like that's like the better direction for Nintendo in terms of smartphone usage, but
it's not saying much.
It's not doing much in terms of like changing the landscape, which I feel like they would want to do of all people. But I don't know.
Yeah, Fire Emblem Heroes, it was a thing that
Animal
came
Crossing on mobile is still supposed to come out this year.
Really?
Or maybe they said fiscal year.
That could be March.
That could be March. I hope they fix it. I hope they actually release a good
mobile game by then. All right.
Because Miitomo was fun for its time. Mario Run is pretty good. It's just, and then this is meh overall.
It's all noises.
It's all noises, yeah.
Spooky things that run around in the night have noises. Uncanny Valley. I played the console port of this. And if I remember correctly, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I thought it looked great, and I thought the music was really good. And
that's what I saw when I saw
Let's Plays
videos
and stuff.
Let's Plays of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks and sounds great, but it doesn't play the best. And there's some interesting story beats in it, but the way it plays, you might not get it in sequential order, and the game is built on you replaying it over and over again, and it gets really repetitive really quick. But yeah, that's all I got to say. There's as much to say about Uncanny Valley. Night in the Woods, though.
This is the first game of the year that really
yes. I guess I like Resident Evil 7, but I think Night in the Woods was,
for me at least.
Yeah, it's probably in my top of the year.
I know the first thing that got me into it was actually you talking about it on this show.
Yes, I was a big fan up to the release of it.
Yeah, and I kind of I saw visuals. I was like, maybe not. Then you talked about it, and it's this college girl goes back to her small town after being away for about a year or so.
In the middle of the country. I think it's Pennsylvania actually.
But it feels very much like small town Nebraska.
Yeah,
which is where we're from.
People struggling.
Which is where I'm from.
Yeah, small communities where they have a store or such, and it's a story of people.
Everyone knows each other.
Everyone knows each other, and it's a story a place that kind of lost jobs and has there's no any job prospects for anyone who is younger, and so they just leave the town, and the character who was a college dropout finds herself back here, and it's just this perfect sort of place to really question what the hell am I doing with my life.
And that's what I loved about it, because it's I think we're the perfect age for that too.
Yeah, sure, totally, yeah, absolutely.
Because this kid goes back to her small town, she's reconnecting with her friends, and how they kind of haven't done anything, and they're kind of mad at her for leaving.
And some of them are fine with not doing anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it speaks to a whole group of people, and it's really good, and I really enjoy my time playing it. But I remember when we were setting this episode up, and I cannot for the life of me remember how this game ended.
Really?
I remember the twist.
The ending is not the strongest.
I remember the twist, but I don't remember where that twist led to in terms of the character's personal developments.
Oh man, let me think. I can't. They get stuck in. They collapse the mine shaft, or something like that.
I know, they eventually stopped
right.
the ultimate evil of.
Yeah, there is this sort of Lovecraftian Beyonder sort of weird evil thing.
And visually that was awesome, I thought. It was really cool. Although I wasn't a huge fan of the dream sequence stuff, just because they kind of
that was the weakest, yeah, that was the weakest part of that.
But
game.
I can't remember where the characters were at the ending of it. Their growth from it.
May talks about what led her to leave. There's the shapes and sounds and colors talk with Bay.
I thought that was earlier in the game.
Yeah, it's near the end of the game.
Because isn't that when she gets drunk at the party and she starts rambling along to everyone about
No, the part with the colors and stuff, that's late in the game.
Oh, okay,
that's right at the end, I think.
Damn.
But yeah, I think the ending isn't the I think where they point out all this weird stuff about the arm, the arm that she finds during Halloween, and there's this thing why did she leave? I think a lot of people really, I know you at the time, you really, really liked the bit where she explains why she left, where she talks about why she was just angry.
Yeah, I love that. That's so relatable, even if you're not because she's a very her mental state is very like complicated and like you feel for her, but it's also relatable in like small doses, I feel. And also like her perception on like life and everything. And also the game itself really lends itself to like being played again, to like
there's a lot I didn't see.
Explore
There's
other
a lot I didn't
things,
see
and
in that
also
game.
like talk to friends who you didn't know about. And also since you like know these characters, you learn more about characters over time. You're able to like visit them like before you really knew you could, and also discuss like see where they're at then, and it's super awesome. And I'm really upset I don't remember how the game fucking ended. I really want to play this game again, like towards the end of the year, to like kind of like reconnect my feelings with it.
It's a good one.
It's a very good game,
And these, I guess,
it's a very us game. I feel.
I think so.
Because you and me, like on our Venn diagram of games, we have like this one like the Gone Home kind of fucking
Right,
games
sure,
where,
yeah.
like, we both really like go
Yeah.
for. And it's very much that kind of thing.
I agree. And it seems it's somehow that the cluster of games that we have on this list, the three are probably the three we feel the strongest of in this group.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is a video game.
Yeah, it is.
I think last time we talked about this game, I didn't talk about how that I beat it. And so reflecting on that, and I think this will, depending on not the expansion comes out by the end of the year, maybe my thoughts on it will change.
Have you bought the DLC yet?
No, I haven't, because I haven't had time to look at it. So yeah, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, obviously the Neo Zelda game. Ryan, how do you feel about it removed from it? You've played the DLC. I think we talked about it in the episode that we lost.
Yeah, I thought the DLC, just sign up, it's pretty good. It's a good way to get back into the game and just kind of explore and see, just how well you've learned from playing the game. And I put over 100 hours on that fucking game, so I felt like I did pretty good. But yeah, I love that game so much. I've been waiting for a new Zelda since Skyward Sword, a game that I keep telling people is fucking good. It's a good
7
game.
years.
7 years
since its release.
I mean, Link Between Worlds is pretty good. But
that's
that
true.
felt very much like a side
What is time?
thing.
It came out in 2011, right?
2011 was Skyward Sword, and then Link Between Worlds, I believe, was
2013 or 12.
13.
Yes, that sounds right.
13, yes.
Because 12 was when the Wii U launched.
Yes.
And then that came out the same day as Super Mario 3D World.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Was that the same day we went and...
We picked up Super Mario 3D World, Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. I picked up Tearaway, and everyone else in line was picking up an Xbox One at lunch.
Hell yeah, that was the day.
Yeah, that was a day. Good time.
That was a good day. But yeah, I love Breath of the Wild so fucking much. It's so much of what I like about like Zelda games and like adventure and fucking nostalgia, because you get so much into this world and it feels like a fucking Miyazaki film. And it's so beautiful and it plays just perfectly. You can just run and explore wherever you fucking want, and words cannot describe how much I love that game. My God.
I think
and it feels so much of a game that made for me too.
That's what I was going to ask you, and I think we'll get into these questions at the end of the year, because I think the games that are our favorite games of this year, I think, warrant a lot of discussion. I think one game in particular deserves its own spoiler cast, but we'll see when Ryan beats it.
I will beat it this year. We'll beat that game.
But that's the thing with you, Ryan, because I didn't think Breath of the Wild is such... I think for a lot of people, Breath of the Wild is a very different game. Like, it's not Skyrim. It's not. It's like Dragon's Dogma and like the original Legend of Zelda. Like, it's this very open game with no waypoints and very little direction. And it's a game that you make... A lot of what you get out of it, you make... Like, you put into it. And I think that's probably why I didn't enjoy a lot of it, because I was surprised you liked it so much, because you like the sort of you really like the sort of structured nature. I do like structure. Yeah,
in like all games, because I feel like in open world games, especially in Skyrim, which I enjoyed Skyrim. I feel like it's definitely a well made game, but what with Skyrim is you really have to choose your path and just follow it. And I feel like if you go off the beaten path to do stuff, it doesn't lead you anywhere interesting.
Right.
But with Breath of the Wild, like, if you're going somewhere and you see some in the distance and you go there, there's something there. Whether it's just like a couple of like moblins hanging out with like an item box, or a fucking fairy fountain that you had no idea existed there, or a fucking side quest that's really interesting. It's so... The game is like the perfect like mixture of how to make an open world adventure game that feels like you really were dropped into this world and you're just going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
have different perspectives on it.
I have my issues with it.
Yeah.
I feel like I really wish there was more to do with the dungeons.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like, the dungeons were so much fun when you first drop into them, but there's only 4 of them. And, like, I wish there was more, because I love Zelda dungeons so much, and I feel like the way they changed the dungeons in Zelda was awesome, and I want to see them do more of that. That's part of why I'm so excited for the DLC, because they did say that there will be a new dungeon added to it.
That is interesting.
But yeah, like, I don't like open world stuff usually, but I felt like they really nailed it there, and it made it feel more personal to, like, the adventure.
For me,
yes,
my thoughts on Breath of the Wild, I think removed, and I think I still feel the same. I kind of want to revisit it. I think the first 10 hours, I was super high on that game. Like, just like, we recorded that episode for March, and I was only 10 hours in, or like less so. I think it was like 3 hours in. You were like 10 hours in or so.
Yeah, I was killing it.
Yeah. And I remember just being over the fucking moon. And the more I played it, like, I beat it, and I was like, you're right, the dungeons... They're made in a manner like, because anyone can tackle any dungeon at any point in the game, so they're not that difficult. They're kind of easy. My favorite part of the entire game was Gerudo Town.
Gerudo Town's pretty awesome.
Yeah, or not Gerudo, Goron.
Oh, the Goron City. Okay,
the Goron City was my favorite part in that game because it was the most like. Getting there is the most. I did it. I went there like I'm just gonna go there and eat a bunch of food and just fucking go. And it's the most bananas garbage. Like this was a mistake. This is a mistake. And then you get there, and then the guy who's selling there, I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're gonna fucking die!" In a very cute and endearing way. And then you meet more of those Gorons, and they're really funny and cute. And you get to that dungeon, and that dungeon starts off way different than the other dungeons. For me, that was one of the highlights of the game, and the rest of the dungeons felt very samey and easy. And I don't think the narrative was very interesting for me. And I had this weird thing where I was so... The idea that I don't want to degrade my best weapon because then I won't be prepared for the trials ahead, that I walked around and I never took the opportunity to fuck with like Upper Goblin or a group of it. I never did that other than the first 5 hours. And so for me, a lot of that game is just paragliding all the way across that entire stretch of land. And I think I might have played it wrong. And I never even got to see an Eventide Island. I never went to do that.
Really?
I should go do that when I try out the DLC. And I really hate the trials. I really hate them. Like for a game for a game that like it lives and dies by nature of like whatever. Like
it's really awesome because like they're everywhere and you run to them often. But yeah, this is a game where like the first like 10 to 20 hours like really like kills it, and like I've heard that from other people, like you really like get into it, but then once you like understand the structure of the game,
definitely, totally,
it does kind of kill that a bit. I still love it, and I feel like it's well designed. That's why I enjoy it.
Once you see how the game works.
Like once I was going back and like getting all the shrines and everything, I did feel a bit like okay, I go here. The most annoying shrine for me was there's one where you have to have a blood moon happening, and for the love of God, I could not get a fucking blood moon to activate, and it was annoying.
That's crazy because they always happen.
They always happen, except when you wanted it. It's so annoying. I eventually found out if you destroy enough stuff, one will automatically happen. Because the blood moon is such a smart mechanic because it resets everything, not just like the enemies, but like when you destroy like forests to hunt for wood, that all gets reset then too. And such a smart mechanic. Such a smart game. I love it so much.
But to my point, and the last thing I'll say before we move on to the next game, for me, the biggest thing is like for a game that it lives and dies on by like whatever, like there is adventure on the horizon. Like there's always something new and exciting. There's also still always one of those trials. And no matter how you cut it, those trials have the same music and the same textures and the same color. And it's just blah. And I also made a mistake of doing a bunch of trials in a row. Because I picked up the game, I just like picked it up, and for some reason I always dropped off at a trial, and so when I came back to the game, I was at a trial, I was like, God damn it, I don't know. But yeah, I think I'll go back to it.
That,
yeah, I'll go back to it, and I'm excited to see.
In terms of like the world itself, I feel like that's like the strongest part of it.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of exploration, it's good. I think it's a good game, George.
I think regardless, it was gonna be. It's like one of the best games of the year, and I really enjoyed a lot of moments of it. And I was frustrated with some.
I'm still excited to see how the Zelda franchise goes from here, and also how other open world games adapt and try to fix problems that are present in Breath of the Wild.
I really hope. My worry, and I'm glad people love this game. I'm really glad, and especially people who like. Thought like they would never. There are people who are confused that people like this game because they're making games that people who like Far Cry 2 and Dragon's Dogma, these weird esoteric open world games. And Breath of the Wild is a very esoteric and weird game, and they were shocked like, oh, Nintendo made an open world game and they took a lot of fucking risks on this thing. Yeah. I think we'll talk about it. I think I'll have more to say at the end of the year of it. I'm excited to revisit it. I hope the DLC comes out at the end of the year. I don't know if it will.
They said it will. They said holiday.
Okay. All right. Next, I think my favorite game of the year.
Yeah.
And there was a moment when I beat Persona 5 that I was like, you made me. But every time I see someone on my Twitter timeline say they're playing Nier and they talk about the place where they are at Nier, I'm like, oh my god, Nier Automata is such a fucking good ass video game, man. Oh my god.
Tell me how you really feel, George.
Nier Automata is a video game made by Platinum Games. I've covered it, I still feel really strongly about it. Like I said, the most I wavered on it was when I beat Persona 5. And there is stuff in Nier Automata that is very flawed. The combat is really repetitive, especially towards the end, so much so that it feels like a Dynasty Warriors game. And it makes sense because the games that the developer made before were very similar to Dynasty Warriors. But the themes and the music and the story and the characters and the twists it takes, I think it could be... That main path could be a little bit shorter and less grindy, but I could also say the same shit for Undertale. And I think it's always, I hate making the comparison to Undertale, but there are similar stuff to the way that game goes about its story, and obviously because Undertale's a game where like you can play it multiple times and like get different things out of it. And Nier Automata is. The way to finish that game is by seeing stuff over and over again. And yeah, I still really, really like it. Part of me is like, man, I should replay that game over again because, it's very good. That's all I gotta say about Nier Automata. Ryan, you should play Nier Automata.
I know, I've been meaning to because it's Platinum and also Square Enix and it looks pretty. And you and like a lot of other people like are going crazy.
It's been crazy,
and it's weird because like over time I'm hearing more people talk about it. And
I love it so fucking much. It's just been an upward trajectory of people just playing this game, discovering it, like this game is fucking incredible. And again, I think it's very flawed, but it really hardened me to see like the people who enjoy video games like come to this game and having them connect to the game in such a profound and meaningful way. Like again, like the way like these games like Undertale or like games like The Last of Us, like these games are like, this is a significant fucking thing. And it was also cool to see like Hideki Kamiya. Oh my god, what's the director? It's Hideki Kamiya, right? The director of Bayonetta and.
I don't know if he's the same director of it. I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean,
he's like, he's like president or head up of Platinum, and Platinum was looking very dire up until the Automata.
They had a string of
with like
stuff.
That Avatar game that was like the most disappointing thing ever for me.
Didn't they have a
Ninja Turtles and that Transformers game was great.
Oh no,
Transformers was good, but I think the Ninja Turtles game was bad. And Scalebound getting canceled.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
It felt rough, and then having this game do so well, and then people saying like him saying it is not an understatement that Nier Automata and Yoko Taro, who is the designer on that game, saved Platinum Games. Like there is an interest in this company more. We're seeing a bunch of new talent coming to work for us. Like the future of Platinum is like bright because of Nier Automata. So that's all I'll say about Nier Automata. I like it a lot.
Tell me about a real video game. Drawn to Death. That's the next.
Oh my! Did we talk about it? I have it on here, but I don't.
I feel like you did talk about it. It was probably very brief.
Oh man, Drawn to Death. So Drawn to Death was the game.
That was a free game, right?
No.
Oh.
It was, and then it wasn't.
Oh.
But it was.
Okay.
So it was.
What?
It was marketed as a free-to-play game made by Sony San Diego in collaboration with David Jaffe and his small group of people that he had working on this project. And it was revealed as a free-to-play game, but then they switched it to a paid game because I think that'd be better because free-to-play is. It's hard.
It's especially on consoles. It's really hard. Yeah.
You saw the same thing for Lawbreakers. That game was going to be free to play, and then switch to a paid model.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say.
How great of a game is Drawn to Death?
So here's the thing about Drawn to Death. I was early in the betas for that game, and I was like, mechanically, this feels all right, and again, people who really got into it were like, actually, there's the depth isn't really here, and things aren't as balanced. The thing I remember Drawn to Death the most for is just its fucking garbage humor and its writing, and it's just so fucking bad. Like, you suck my dick, fucking turd waffle, you fucking suck, get fucked, get fucking owned, you fucking suck my dick, your grandma's a fucking piece of shit. It's the fucking worst.
It's just like people trolling each other on the internet.
Yeah, man.
Geez.
And to be fair, like the narrative about the game is you are in the notebook of this kid, like this 15, 16-year-old guy.
So he would be talking about that. He would be saying stuff like that.
Yes, who is like insular and doesn't talk to a lot of people, and he hasn't discovered who he is as a person. And listen, I get that. I was an awkward, shitty, weird person as well. Totally. I kind of still am. I don't like talking to people. I think, Ryan, you don't like talking to people either.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the fucking worst thing ever.
I hate it.
But again, like, it's this... But they don't do too much with that storyline and that character. Like, you can see bits and pieces of it while walking around the backgrounds and stuff, and you see little notes. And I'm talking about Drawn to Death for way longer, but I feel like I don't remember having this conversation about Drawn to Death, and I want to have this conversation. Drawn to Death was a weird thing. I don't know what the status is of it. I think it did better than a lot of people. I think it did better than expected. I think, because it was at least free for PlayStation Plus, and I think some people could probably get into it. Drawn to Death was a video game. You know what else is a video game?
Puyo Tetris.
Yeah, I don't have
a game we both like.
It's a good game, and I didn't play much of it because I suck at both those things because I never played a lot of Tetris, and Puyo. I think Puyo is a more smarter game than Tetris.
Puyo is definitely a more smarter game. It's just...
Ryan said it. Definitely. Stamp. Done.
What? Look, man, I'm not fucking...
But there's a lot more thought in... I think there's...
Yeah, because Puyo is all about combos, when, like, your instincts would think, oh, I'm just trying to clear the board as fast as possible. But if you get combos... That's what really like kills it and takes your opponent out.
It's a game about thinking what's my strategy? Like, I have these two things coming up.
With Tetris, you're only thinking like kind of one block ahead, but with Puyo, you're thinking of like, okay, eventually I'll get this, and eventually I'll get that. Mm-hmm. And kind of like hoping things will land in your favor in the future.
And it's Puyo Tetris is and there's been Puyo games and there's been Tetris games, but this is probably the best Tetris game and Puyo game like in a while.
Many. Yeah,
Tetris
time.
DS is a pretty good Tetris game in my opinion.
It is.
But this, like, the polish is really well. Like, it's really charming.
And also, unlike like many modern Tetris games, I feel like every new Tetris game that comes out tries like to do like its new thing. Like, this is gonna change Tetris. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's always some stupid thing that like is not fun and is weirdly complicated, and you never touch it. And you just play normal Tetris. But I feel like Puyo Tetris, all the modes are pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a few that
There's some buck wild modes.
Yeah, but like overall, like if you want to change something up, like play Puyo, play the Puyo Tetris at the same time, or play the swap one, or play the one where what was it? There's like giant Tetris pieces. I forget.
Yes. I don't remember. But
I don't remember that
right.
one. No.
I don't think it's gonna be one of our favorite games, but I think it's a highlight of the year.
Oh no! Like it's a really fun like side game to like play in between stuff.
It's also notable because it came out in 2013 in Japan, and we're finally getting it. It's good to see that. Speaking about getting games later, Persona 5.
Damn.
Let's talk. Man, okay.
You have finished Persona 5
since we last talked about Persona.
And I still haven't.
Yes. And so I feel like my thoughts on Persona have changed a lot. On 5 specifically, it was like since this podcast started, Persona 5 has always been looming over
Yeah.
my head. Like, it's the thing I'm most looking forward to. And then once it came closer, I'm like, I'm still looking forward to it, but I'm setting my expectations, to a reasonable level, because it's the follow-up to my favorite video game of all time. And I'm not really sure what I'm going into. And then the game came out, and you started playing it because Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I was like, that's a Persona game pretty much. It's a light Persona game.
Yeah, and also I had PS4 now, so
Yeah.
I could actually play it.
I mean, you could play it on PS3 as well.
Yeah, well, now you own my PS3,
Yeah,
so that's useless to me.
And so I beat in Persona 5. Well, the narrative, let's finish the narrative there. You were playing Persona 5, and I was like, I don't know if I want to start it. Like, I owned it, and I was like, I don't know.
You own the collector's edition, which you
Yeah.
never buy.
People were really about the translation, about the themes of it.
I never felt that way.
I think the translation is whack, but
Wow, okay. I guess
well,
I
not completely
have no perspective in that.
kind of whack. It feels off tilt for sure. But yes, and I started playing it, and I wasn't completely enraptured in it for the first 20 hours. And then the next 40 hours, I was like, this is okay. And then I was like, like the next 10 hours maybe, I was like, it's just kind of spinning its wheels. And then after around the 60-ish hour mark, I was like, man, I fucking really like this game a whole lot. Yeah, and now towards the end, I think that game, the twist. Did you get to the twist?
Yeah, that when you find out about.
You find out who betrayed you.
Yes,
I got
to that part.
I think that is not the best handled, in my opinion. How do you feel about that?
I liked it. I thought it was confusing.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like,
how
it's the most
how
convoluted.
They fixed it, but I felt like in terms of the world they're in, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And also, it solves the problem that's been the whole game, which is the game starts with the character being captured by the police, and the whole point is leading up to that moment, and also what led to you being captured by the police.
Yeah,
because you're a phantom thief.
Okay, so that's how. So now I know how far you got, and I think that's I let it just wash over me. I was like, okay, it doesn't make much sense. I'm not gonna really focus in on that, because I know if I do, it's gonna be the most bananas nonsense. Like, pancakes is the
Pancakes solved everything.
Okay, whatever. But no, I finished that game, and I feel extremely strong about it. I think it's a great game. I think that and Nier are probably the top two my favorite games of the year. And I keep thinking about Persona 5, and I really want to replay it all over again. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the whole time I was playing Persona 5, I was excited to play it again. Just the new game. Plus, when you have all the stats and everything maxed out, and you can enjoy the stories of everyone else because you actually have time for that, and that's exciting to me. But with every RPG I play, once I get towards the end, I always stop. I don't understand.
I don't understand.
I think I just don't.
You're not even at the end, my dude.
I know I'm not. Because that event happens in December.
No, the Akechi event happens in early November.
I thought I got to near December.
Did you get to the dungeon of the person who was revealed to be behind everything?
Maybe or maybe not. I don't remember.
Did you get on a boat?
Yes, I was on a boat.
You were on
I'm in that dungeon.
Okay, that's the second to last dungeon.
Okay, that's what I figured. Because that happens December-ish, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that happens in November.
Okay.
Because
either
December, the game skips. I was weirded out because the game skips out a lot. I was like, Persona 4 seems a lot longer, and the game skips out a lot of stuff. Maybe it wasn't in December or early December.
Because I just knew from when the game came out, people were like, "Oh, look what happened on Valentine's Day." And it's like, well, the game's gonna last until February, because the game starts in March.
Yes, April actually.
April. Okay, yes, April. So I knew the game would at least go that far. So I knew that after that event there'd be something else, and I figured that. But I don't know. Something about the event felt very final and ultimate, and that thing happened to me where I can't let this end.
So yeah, I think we'll have more to say about Persona once you beat it.
I will beat it by the end of the year.
I'm excited. I think there's just the thing with Persona, and I know we need to keep going on this, but the thing with Persona is it's such a rich game that I honestly feel you could dedicate a whole fucking mini-series podcast to it.
I would love.
There's so much.
If I had the time, I would love to just analyze and look at this game.
There is so many layers, and small things. Like, I want to talk about, like, how did you feel about the juice shop in that little thing? Did you, like, yeah. Moving on.
It's a great game.
Ryan, you want to talk about...
Persona 5 Dancing Star Night. Hell
we'll talk about that in the next podcast. That's the thing.
The next game on the list is Feria. This was a free-to-play Steam card game that came out this year. I heard about it from a friend, and I was pretty huge on the Hearthstone stuff. I was in the beta, and I dedicated a lot of time to Hearthstone. But then Hearthstone got stupid, like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon card game, like every card game. It got stupid after a certain point. But Feria felt very fresh and fun, and it's a free game that really changed up a lot of what Hearthstone did, and did a lot better than Hearthstone ever could and ever will, because Hearthstone is stuck in its rut of trying to steal as much money from you as physically possible, because they're a bunch of rat bastards who eventually made a pretty good game called Overwatch. Fuck Blizzard. Feria is pretty good. If you're into card games, I'd definitely check it out.
It was a game that you played this year?
It was a game I played this year, and it's not super memorable, and I don't think I'll ever go back to it, but for the times that I played with it, it was really good. I just think I'm too burned out on card games.
That's fine.
I played too much of them as a kid, and then Hearthstone killed me inside.
Speaking about games that are also games we played this year, maybe not, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best game of 2014 and 2017.
Exactly.
I don't know if there's anything to say. It was Mario Kart, and it was...
Yeah, like, I feel like...
I'm here to tell you, I'm so sorry, folks, but I better not see this on any Game of the Year lists. It came out in 2014. It was a great game in 2014. Top 5, probably.
But yeah, it was a great game. And
my favorite Mario Kart.
It still is a great game.
Like that game for me is very significant. Like, that was the game that it clicked for me. I was like,
really?
oh.
You finally got Mario Kart in
everything Mario. It was that, like, if you remember, I didn't like Nintendo until I bought the Wii U. Like, I didn't understand. Like, it's just fucking racing. What the fuck are you guys doing?
But there's charm about it.
Yes, exactly.
There's polish. And, like, you understand that the people who made this care about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's Mario Kart.
And in Mario Kart Deluxe, they just kind of repackaged the same game.
All right.
No, they did fix stuff. And it's pretty good. Playing it on the Switch on the go is really awesome. And I love that about it. It's a good game. Game of the Year, 2014. Let's talk about the real game.
Oh, man. Walking Dead. I need to finish this at some point. I haven't finished it yet.
Do you have any more thoughts on Walking Dead Season 3?
I need to finish it. That's my thought. I know the ending of it because, okay, so they announced the final Telltale Walking Dead season. They've announced this. It's going to come to an end with the next season.
Finally.
And the thing was like, yo, they just spoiled the ending of Season 3 right in the trailer.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they just straight up spoiled. Like, okay, well... I might as well. I'm gonna see us through the end, and I don't think I will get anything meaningful out of it. But I'm gonna do it because I'm a fucking idiot and I'm curious, right? And with most seasonal television, a lot of people go through those motions with TV. We're like, well, I'm fucking this invested now. I might as well see it.
Yeah, I felt that way about a lot of TV. Now they don't watch TV as much. Yeah.
Do you still watch Walking Dead?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was like the last thing where I was like, that season like premiere with Negan or whatever, when he when he killed 2 of the main characters, I was just like, you assholes, you knew that this was, it's so pandering, because they're just trying to like get emotions out of the audience so that when they have their stupid Talking Dead show, Chris Hardwick, like, can you believe what happened last night? Well, that thing we all watched, oh my god, that was the greatest moment of television history. Oh my god, why is Chris Hardwick famous? I like him as a person, but I don't get why he's famous. He's probably fine. I don't know. Fuck Walking Dead. It's stupid. And,
Speaking of Walking Dead, I should probably play Batman at some point. That came out.
I watched the first episode. I've watched a Let's Play of that.
It's not bad.
It looked alright.
The story is really interesting. They take some risks and do some great things.
I like that. I like taking risks with pretty much all comic book stuff, just because it's so like.
Especially, I've been pretty anti-Batman, and I really enjoyed Batman Season 1. Apart from the technical issues, which were unfucking believable.
Look, man, Telltale needs to take a break and build a new engine that's actually good.
That's the worst game they've ever put out. Like, technically, like, it is bananas, but hopefully now that they're not putting
even though it does have like a good art style to it, it still looks terrible.
It's not even people didn't have fucking heads. They were walking around without fucking heads, man. Ugh, whatever. Prey. There's some sort of segue with heads there. I don't know. Aliens go in your face and they screw you up.
Do people care about Prey anymore? Because this kind of died
anyone
out.
Care about Prey? I mean, I know some
when the trailer first dropped, I felt like people were like, "Oh hell yeah, it's
BioShock.
fucking Prey! Look at his eye; it's all bloody or whatever."
And then everything from that trailer and the emotions that thing evokes and the narrative things that promises is all in the first hour of that game. First 30 minutes of that game.
How far did you get in this game?
I got like an hour and I was like, I don't need any more Prey in my life.
I pray I don't ever need to play this game.
So the console version of Prey were messed up for like about a month.
Oh jeez.
Like
maybe that'd be solved if they set up review copies.
Well, maybe. It was the movement of the analog stick or something. There was a delay, and so it was weird.
Oh no.
Yeah, and that was just
That's
busted.
really bad.
And then they patched it, and then it was busted on PS4 Pro. But anyways, Prey was I liked the soundtrack of Prey a lot. I didn't want anything to do with reading terminals or its combat. I didn't like. I thought it was really scary, and the idea of these aliens that could turn into a coffee mug was really fascinating. And when it worked on me, I was like, "Oh fuck! Did that chair just move?" Like it was really cool, but I didn't feel like. I think a lot of people were like, whatever.
Yeah,
I know some people really love it, specifically Daniel Rando, who is from Waypoint, Vice's video game website, because that game apparently has some really interesting queer characters in it. Like you read about through the terminals and stuff. But not a lot of people Prey. I would love to see the numbers on Prey. Would love. That game was. I found that game for $30 a month after it came out. But yeah, Prey. Let me tell you about The Surge.
The Surge.
I find
that sounds like an 80s action movie.
I mean, it was a 90s drink, and I think we made the same joke.
Damn it. Then. Man, that says something about our sense of humor, doesn't it?
Yeah. So The Surge was this Dark Souls-ish game, and I remember saying that I was really impressed with it because it kind of came out of nowhere. And technically, it was a really, really impressive game. And it seemed cool, too. It's this Dark Souls game where you're like sort of like this sci-fi Dark Souls game. And you're like removing limbs from enemies. And it was neat. I didn't play much of it, but I think if the point of this, looking back on the year and maybe talk about games that we forgot, I think The Surge was a really neat thing. It felt like the sort of game that shouldn't exist now, but would have existed in the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox days. Like it's just like this middle tier game that's just there. And has some really interesting ideas, and it iterates on a formula in a neat way while also stumbling, but it's at least worth knowing about. Mm-hmm. The Surge is a thing. I think that's still a game that, like, if people are vaguely interested, they should at least, if you can rent it. But
you know what game I feel the exact same way about? Arms.
Oh yeah, Arms. I forgot Arms is the thing that came out.
Exactly. Like Arms is a game where like I got it, I understood it, and I wanted to enjoy it, but when playing it, I just felt nothing. And you felt the same way. Like, and I know like Nintendo like kind of like died out their conversation on the game for a bit, mostly because they wanted to focus the conversation on Splatoon 2. And now I've heard that they're bringing in a new character, some free DLC for a new character. And they did have another new character, Max Brass.
They did?
They did add him.
Oh, I didn't hear anything about this.
Max Brass, who, from what I understand, is when you play the campaign mode thing, he's like the final boss thing. He's like this old retired champion of the Arms League, blah, blah, blah. And you can later play him. And then they have a official new character who's some candy theme thing. I don't know. They released some weird grainy footage. I was like, oh, we have some footage of Arms. I don't have good reception here. Boop-a-doo. It was a really weird video. It's not, I don't know. Anyways, Arms, not that great. I like the idea of it, and I feel people...
forgot about it?
They did forget about it, but I feel like at the time, there were people who were really like strong about it, because it was really interesting how they changed the scape of like how fighting games are. And I think that's a really cool idea to have. I'm glad the game's out and done with, and Nintendo can work their charms on another genre.
I don't know. Do you think they'll make a sequel to that?
No.
I think they will, but I don't think anyone... Maybe they might care. I don't want to see it.
No,
I don't want to see it.
I think Arms is something that's like one and done.
You think so? Huh.
Especially since they talked about supporting it for like a while. And I feel like it's not going to go anywhere.
All right.
I mean, Nintendo's one of those people who, like, they don't support their franchises very much unless it's Mario or
runaway
Zelda.
hit, or like Splatoon was as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Arms was not a runaway hit.
Arms
Anyways, other games that came out, sort of, and I forgot about Magikarp Jump. Do we
Magikarp
have anything
Jump.
to say about Magikarp Jump?
I really liked it. I kind of dropped off of it just because the game just, at a certain point, it stopped doing anything new or interesting. I did hear that there was an update that added an ending to the game where you can actually beat the game. I don't know much about what that means. I think you fight Red. From Pokemon Red and Green.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, he has a Magikarp, obviously, because
Right.
it's a Magikarp game. But yeah, I think Magikarp Jump is a good, fun, free fucking, Android
Thing that
iPhone
came out?
game.
It was a weird thing that came out.
It was a weird thing, and it was enjoyable for the time. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to probably forget about it in a few years.
And in the interest of...
A free game.
Oh my gosh.
That
Okay.
we were forced to play.
This is running really long, and I'm going to kill time here by saying That's You was a game that we played, and we talked about in the last podcast. It is a Jackbox Party Pack sort of game if it was bad and made by, 40-year-olds who, you work with in your office, and they're like, oh, Mondays, am I right? You know what I'm saying? Mondays! It is this game.
Who of your friends is the most likely to go skinny dipping?
Hey,
right?
whoa.
Who? It's because they're naked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's more likely
that's
to...
so lewd. Am I
Who's more
right?
likely to say the fuck word or whatever the hell? It's not great.
No, it's terrible, actually.
It is,
I've heard some people actually enjoy it.
Me too! And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Have you played Jackbox? It's superior in
I'm
every
really,
single way.
you sound really lame, man. I'm
in
sorry.
every single way.
Oh, man. Whatever.
Anyways.
That was a game.
Let's talk about a game that I don't care about.
No, I don't care about it much either, but Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, which was a thing that a lot of people wanted for a longest time.
I'm glad for them.
And I'm glad they got it.
They got that.
And it's sold very, very well.
Oh, who would have guessed?
Not Activision. And I wouldn't blame them either. I would have said, it's probably going to do okay, and it did very well. We talked about it also in that episode that got lost. It's Crash. It's very impressive how it looks, but it's also still Crash.
I feel like it's only enjoyable if you have those fond memories of Crash from the good old days.
Having the knowledge that I knew what Crash was when I was walking into it, I was like, yep, this is Crash. Okay, I'm good. I'm done. And now I'm like, I don't know what I want this guy at this game. I wish it was Spyro. That would be better if it was Spyro. But okay.
Anyways, Micro Machines, World Tour.
They're small cars. They run around. It's like Overwatch. This is another game we talked about a lot of these games here we talked about in that Lost episode. But yes, this was this small Hot Wheels sort of racer where you're above, the view is from above, and you can see these cars racing around. And there's not really much meaningful to say about it. The weirdest thing about it was how Overwatchy it was, and I think that was the biggest takeaway I said in that episode, because each car has a class, and you get loot boxes, and you get skins and sprays for your car, and instead of catchphrases or those voice things, you would get horns, and the only mode is an online hopper, and then a local, a weird, the options are very limited, like Overwatch. Overwatch is here is this.
That's a good system to go for, but
it was
you have to
weird.
at least try to make it your own in some way.
Yeah. I was like, whatever. That was the most fascinating thing about Micro Machines, was seeing the Overwatchification in this racing game. Rime.
This was a game I played during the Lost episode of George Ryan Video Games. This game is not good at all. I feel like the game is trying really hard to be
philosophical and grand.
Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Studio Ghibli.
And this is Rime once
Wind
again.
Waker
Yeah.
game that's trying really hard to put emotions in you, make you feel something. You're going on a journey. You're going through this character's life, and it's meaningful and poetic, but it's not. It's so structured, and it's trying so hard to put those feelings in you and poking at a stick, feel something. You're a terrible person because you don't care about this kid and his probably dead father or whatever. I don't know.
If I'm not playing it yet, it sounds like not great creative writing.
It's not. It just tries so hard.
Exactly.
That's all I can say about it.
That's what I meant by it. It's just hey, I see what you're going for here, but you're a little heavy-handed.
And the game is structured into worlds too, which does not lend itself to that idea.
Right.
Of,
very
exploration.
split. Yeah.
I don't know, man. The art style.
I'm interested to play it
the
myself.
The art style's pretty. I like the fox. The fox is very cute, but I stopped caring pretty much immediately afterwards. It's a boring game, but like if you're really into those kind of Shadow of the Colossus-esque games or like Journey, I'd say maybe try it out. I don't think it's that expensive.
Mm-hmm. And let's not to paint, and we'll not paint Ryan in a like it because we were doing it really
asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything.
It's just that Rime really feels like it's trying to do the thing and it's not doing the thing.
It's not doing.
And
the
so
thing
when
at
it's
all.
not doing the thing, it just like seems like, what are you doing, man?
Exactly, because it's again, it tries so hard, and I feel like to the point you can see like the strings behind it trying to create this sad emotional journey where it's like there's just poetic piano music, and look at the camera pan across this beautiful thing as you're just walking for 2 minutes. Stupid, so stupid. Rime. Splatoon 2. That's a game I really enjoyed.
That is a game Ryan likes.
I don't know what else to say about it. I talked about it again.
Right.
Lost
we were
episode.
like it was Splatoon. I don't
better
remember.
Splatoon.
Yeah.
Single player is a lot better. The Salmon Run.
I heard the boss the exact same final boss from the first game. Though?
I haven't gotten to the final boss just yet, so I don't know. But yeah, the single player is a lot better. The Salmon Run, newly added PvE thing, is a lot of fun. Multiplayer is still fun. It looks more colorful. The Splatfest was enjoyable for the most part.
It seems like
I love Splatoon.
Yeah, Splatoon feels like a necessity to be on the Switch
just because Splatoon was such a big hit on the Wii U, and it's such a like, it really was Nintendo's like online thing.
Exactly.
Where people could just hop in and play for a little bit and then get back to the game of the month or whatever. And on the Switch, you would really kind of need that. But on the Wii U, which was a dying console at the time, it didn't really work out so well.
And specifically, like, Splatoon, like, it's good to have it at the beginning of the Switch because Splatoon is a game that's going to be going on for a long-ass time. And so it will always kind of be there. It will be, for, like, a system, like, a platform that typically, the Nintendo platform specifically, don't have, with the Wii U and with this, you don't expect to see like a Call of Duty or Overwatch even getting there, and Splatoon kind of fills that void. Like Splatoon will always be there, like stuff will always be popping off. There will always be some dumb argument like flying or being invisible. Obviously.
Are you kidding me? Flying?
Okay, well you know.
Oh my god.
Actually, flying would be good because I wouldn't have to drive anywhere.
That's the main reason.
Yeah,
like being invisible, like I feel like the only benefit that gives you is you can be a pervert.
Being a creepo.
Yeah, and like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, flying is actually
but flying is like I could
save a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you also just leave situations by flying away.
Sure, yeah.
Like what do they say? You're flying.
But you can't fly too high because then you'll get cold and die.
Put on a jacket.
I guess. I don't know what's that. That's how that works. Ryan, Playerunknown's Battleground is a game you played.
I did play it. It's pretty good.
Playerunknown's Battleground.
This is the game that kind of like headed off this year.
It's
like
the biggest surprise of the year.
Yeah, it's like the new like Twitch game.
It has sold over 5 million copies.
Exclusive on Xbox One for consoles.
Oh yeah.
That's not a good. It doesn't.
Did you see a bit of that thing from yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
No.
We were referring to the Gamescom press conference, which was, I guess, was a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who cares?
Anyways, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Ryan, this is a sort of, I guess, battle royale is the name for the genre.
For me, it's like I really have fond memories of like games like DayZ, those kind of like you go into this world, you pick up weapons, and you try your best to survive. But like in the end, those games you always end up dying at some point, and then like what's the point? All that progress is lost. PlayerUnknown's Battleground, you're only going to play for like an hour and a half at most. So it's all about trying your best, and if you die, then you just hop back into another world and try again.
Yeah, and it's
really
a game that like funnels all that because there's a set amount, like there's a circle that like gets smaller. The lower the player count is that what it is? Or is it a time limit?
It's over time. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
The circle gets small, and then over time, people are just going to die within that time because either they can't get to that circle fast enough, either because they're so far away, or because they're stuck in like a situation with other players where they can't, where both of them are kind of stuck where they can't move and they both end up dying anyway. Or if you're like me, you're just an idiot. And
that's like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I think why it's so good because it took everything from all these games, like a little like Rust, DayZ, Arma, and like doing things that people with mods were messing around with, but it found a good balance of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you like it. Yeah,
it's very good, and the developers have made it very clear that they plan on finishing the game.
yeah, they seem like good folks.
They seem like good folks. That Playerunknown, he's a good guy.
He seems like a really nice guy. Brendan, good old Brendan.
Good old Brendan Playerunknown. That's his last name.
All right. We're nearing the end here, and so these are games we're gonna talk. We're also probably gonna maybe talk about in August, but it's so happened.
We'll talk about them briefly.
Happened that these games were also probably significant games from the year. So I played What Remains of Edith Finch. That game came out sometime in April, and I didn't get around to it. And I got to play it now. It is the next game by Giant Sparrow, the people who made the unfinished Swan. It is the first. It is a first-person game. It is quote unquote a walking simulator. I know that. That term is very dismissive and diminutive. But I think it's the best way to describe it because what you're getting into.
You walk and you experience.
And it's also interesting because the way it deconstructs what your expectations for the genre is. So you play as this girl who goes to this house where her grandmother's house or family house, because it's a house where a lot of the family has lived or passed by at some point. Mm-hmm. And the thing about the game is the Finch line, which is her family, the Finch family, has this curse where they die early in unexpected deaths. And it has always happened. And now the person you're playing as now, Edith Finch, is the last person in the family alive. And she's going to this house because while she's been there, her mother hid a lot of the secrets of the family. And now that she might die, she goes there to find out what happened. And the way that this game sort of breaks down the expectations for the genre is you are finding out, but it's not through like audio logs or diaries. There are these small instances like that really mess around with how the player interacts, and it is sort of asynchronous to the way you are your way you're doing a motion with the controller is sort of similar to what's going on in the game, if that makes any sense. So like if you were to like open a key or like, I guess it's hard to describe, but the way the movement of your hands with the controller and the way we all naturally play games is sort of put into consideration for these instances. And these instances could be something as simple as walking around and reading an audio log, or you could be in this, like, you're on this weird, like, swing, and you're just swinging, and you're just pressing, like, the analog sticks back and forth, and it's really interesting how it does that. And there is specifically one of those instances in this game is, like, one of the most interesting and like surprising bit of a game I have played in a long fucking time. It is this. I don't want to spoil it because if people play the game, it is seriously fucking wonderful. But the way it does that again is like you go into this. Like you find the diary or a note from one of the characters, and then that connects to a thing. Like someone you see pictures of a hunting trip, and so you go into those pictures and suddenly you're playing the person who was taking the pictures. So the story doesn't progress unless you take pictures. And then it changes a little bit between, like, you took a picture of a squirrel. So you have the picture of the squirrel. And then, like, the person who dies, because all these stories that end with someone dying, is like, oh, that squirrel looks so good, or whatever the hell. And it plays really good with perspective and stuff. I don't know. I feel like I'm not explaining it very well. But I walked into this game not thinking much because it was like, I feel like I know what I'm getting into this genre, and I felt like I'm kind of cynical, and I'm kind of feel the same way with Tacoma. Like I feel like this space has been explored pretty well, and it's hard to really surprise people with something. And I think Edith Finch absolutely does it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Rime Edith Finch. It's really good. It's definitely one of my favorite games of the year. I was pretty surprised with it.
All right, speaking of Tacoma,
yes,
I played that game, follow-up to Gone Home by Fulbright, a game you and me both really love.
One of my favorite games of all time.
Yes, same here. I don't want to get too much into it because I feel like we're running low on time here, but it's super good, and I really enjoyed my time with it. It really is it does a lot with that genre of, like, walking simulator, quote, to, like, fix the whole idea of, like, when you walk into a room and see what's happening, you can, like, because it's all takes place in space, and it's all these, like, holograms that you're watching, and you're able to, like, rewind and, like, follow different people as they go down different paths in their own personal conversations. And like going into it initially, it's very like daunting because it's like there's so many people and you don't know who they are at first. So it's like, okay, where do I even begin here?
Right.
But then as you like go along, it's a lot more. You understand it more. And you understand the characters more and the conflicts they're going through on this spaceship and like why they're there and why you're there and what the hell's going on. And there's so much in it where when I finished the game, I like read some stuff about it and I picked up on things through like people's writing that like I never even picked up on. Because there's so much in it. Because there's all these conversations, there's all these like small objects that like tell you about who this character is, and there's data logs that people are logging in that show you like what their social media feed is or what they're doing right now or what their text messages are. And there's so much to it. My issues with it are kind of like, unlike Gone Home where it's this house where you like, it feels familiar and you're kind of exploring it.
You're
the space station, it's not very familiar, and the structure of it feels very linear. Where to the point where, like, I know it's a story, but in the way Gone Home did it, even though it was linear, it didn't feel like it when you were exploring that space. But in Tacoma, things are locked off, and you have to go to one place first that's, like, down a hall, and then, like, oh, now this door's open. You have access to it. Blabbity-boobity.
And it is also worth noting that we talked about it on the podcast, but, like, this development for this game was a little bit, well, not bad. It was just, like, things changed. Like they had a game, and then they pretty much realized that we're going on the wrong path. We have to start over. And so they scrapped a lot of that stuff from that game and then built Tacoma that we know now. So it is possible that maybe things changed and they had to kind of wind up being more linear to finish.
I understand that because like the finished product is really, really good. I do really love it. It has a lot of aspects from Gone Home that I really like. I still like Gone Home more. I think that's mostly just because it's so familiar and the music and the characters.
And I think and
the characters feel more like it's really only about your sister, Lonnie, and your parents. But in this story, it's like there's about 6 crew people along with the AI and like their families that are off the ship. And you kind of like, I felt more like involved in like 2 certain characters while the other ones, more like 3. The other ones I kind of like, brushed them aside. And then when reading more about them, I'm like, oh, this person's a lot more interesting than I initially thought they would be. And you have to like read into that stuff to really get into it. Really good game.
I really got to play that.
You'd like it, yeah.
It's just like What Remains of Edith Finch. And I hate that I had this feeling, but I feel like this notion, like, I feel like the genre has been explored pretty thoroughly, and I feel
like Tacoma, with the way it does the whole
remixing and stuff,
that really like puts a whole new spin on it. That's really good.
Okay,
and it really like, kind of fixes the problem of. Because whenever I have gone back to like play like a little bit of Gone Home, you can't just go back to room. You have to like start over to like hear like the voiceover stuff of like her talking. While in this one, you can just go back to room and you can just play it all over again because it all makes sense in the sense of the world because you're just watching these recordings.
Yeah, I was so excited for that game, and it's weird how I'm like, I'll get to it when I want to.
Yeah, it's weird because like I've also been like super excited for it because I loved Gone Home and I was really excited to see what these people do next, and eventually it led to this. And like playing, I was like, wow, where was I when I played Gone Home? Because that's a memory.
Yeah, that was a thing a long time ago. Anyways,
let's talk about a long time ago.
Sure. The last game we'll talk about in our retrospective of the year that was 2017. Some would call it one of the best years in games. I think it's been a pretty
pretty okay.
It's pretty banger, I think. But
yeah,
I don't know. Sonic Mania, one of my most anticipated games, came out, and again, this is an August game. We'll talk about it maybe in the next episode. But that's the thing I played, and I have to talk about it because it came out this year, and it's one of my favorite games of the year. But very quickly, I will say that my biggest thing I was excited for was it looks and sounds fantastic. It doesn't look like a Sega Genesis game. It looks like a Sega Saturn game made by people who love Sega. It's not just... it doesn't have a kind like memory and respect and reverence for Sonic. It has one for everything Sega, and you can see that in like some of the levels, and they understood what made those games great and why people still find themselves inspired by them in terms of like music and art, and why they like the aesthetics of Sonic the Hedgehog. This game really gets that, and that's what I was really looking forward to in Sonic Mania. But also it's still a Sonic game, with warts and all, pretty much. I mean, the most interesting thing that they do with Sonic Mania is that I know the language of playing Sonic, and that sounds weird, but it's understanding. Okay, I've been running on a straight path for quite a bit. I think there's going to be a spring coming up or an enemy or something. So I'm going to slow down a bit or jump. And then sometimes for me, that usually paid off. And so for me, it felt like a game. These people understand what players of Sonic expect and how they read those games. And I think for like some other people, like, well, that was just weird. I just kind of stopped or whatever. But like for me, as someone who's familiar with those old levels that are included in Sonic Mania, I found myself surprised and excited a lot of the times. Like, oh, that's really fucking neat. It's really, I could see how they got to that jump. I was like, oh, they did that because they expected me to do this, and like that's really cool. But then there's also the not great bonus stages that take too long and don't control great. And the last area of the game is frustrating, to say the least. And I think a lot of people are going to hate that last area because it just feels like you don't control it. And that's a problem a lot of people have with Sonic, right? It just feels like you're just to the whims of the game. Like, I'm going to go here, and a spring's going to jump me over here, and I don't know. And for me, I enjoy that, and I think I know how to adapt to that sort of stuff a lot better than people who come into Sonic Mania who haven't played a Sonic game in a long time. Like, oh, I'm going to play an old Sonic game. And they're like, whoa, that was weird. But yeah, I think Sonic Mania is probably the best Sonic game ever made. But I still think it's a Sonic game, and so it has its growing pains. But I still like Sonic, and I like it warts and all, and I always had. And I think that's why the Sonic community is so used to taking shit games, because we kind of like a thing that is inherently flawed.
Yeah, I get that. I know I played a little bit of it when I went over to your place to record this, and like, I don't know, it's Sonic, and I don't get it. I don't get how it plays. I've never got it. I've played them when I was a kid too, and like, I just don't get it. Like, my brain doesn't connect. I'm used to Mario and like taking my time.
And to be fair, like when I was a little kid, it didn't click with me either. So like, so it's kind of weird. It's like, is it just like I've been playing these maybe not great games and know how to maneuver around them? I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, with that,
that's a show.
That has been our year in review. It was a lot longer than I expected.
Yeah, same here.
Turns out we're passionate about a lot of the games that were...
I think we like video games.
Yeah. I can't believe I spent more than a few sentences on Drawn to Death.
You really went out on that game.
Oh my god. Drawn to Death is a thing, man. It is... Drawn to Death feels like the game you would see in like Law and Order. Like, this is the game that he played before he murdered the girl. And it's, I don't know. Anyways, that is a podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for this makeup sort of special episode of the podcast.
Best of 2017 so far.
Yeah, this retrospective. Obviously, there's not much of 2017 left. Shockingly, it's
some
weird.
Good things to look forward to. Mario.
Yeah. Nuclear War, maybe. Pokemon. Fucking Need for Speed for me. I'm really excited for that. Knack, obviously. Knack is really excited. Mario Rabbids. And on the topic of Mario Rabbids, the next episode, we don't have a solid schedule, but it's usually the first week of the month. And it will definitely be late because Mario Rabbids is very close. It's at the tail end of August, and we definitely want to talk about Mario Rabbids.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to talk about it.
I definitely want to know about Mario Rabbids. I want to know more about it. I want to know about that vacuum cleaner and about that Donkey Kong Rabbid. Really excited about that. So the next episode will be a little bit late. But other than that, obviously, if you listen to the show and you can rate and review us on iTunes, that'd be really much appreciated. I know someone listens out there. Someone's out there. You can find me on Twitter at jcruzalvarez26.
I'm at Frying Pans.
And yeah, that's a show. Thank you so much once again. Until next time, have a good one.
Bye.